What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Sauer today, joined by Kenny Knight, Sam Bailey, and Andy Donahue. We're going to be discussing our round of 32 World Cup predictions. Starting off with the game that obviously the game happened earlier today, Canada against South Africa. I had Canada winning that one. But moving on to the action tomorrow, Japan versus Brazil. I really like this Japan team, and I think they're going to pull off the upset over Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that Japan looks really good. I like their goalie. What's his face?
Nick Suzuki, yeah,
Suzuki.
he looks good.
He's really. I like how he plays. I think that he brings a good mindset and to this team. And I really like some of the players on Japan. It's a shame that Wataru Endo, Liverpool legend, couldn't play and had to retire, but I do like Japan, and I just don't think that Brazil has the quality to get it done.
I was high on this Brazil team going into the World Cup, but now I don't have as high hopes for them anymore.
I mean, starting Lucas Paquetá in the Big 26 is what are we doing?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to disagree. I mean, Brazil have looked very good against Morocco, who have been very strong recently. They've been good against Scotland and multiple other teams. So I think this is definitely gonna be a close game, but I think Brazil's just gonna edge out Japan.
I agree with Kenny. I think they're favorited for a reason. So
I just want to pull into this. The last time that these two squads played each other was in October, and Japan beat Brazil 2-1 in a friendly. I know it's just a friendly, but
I mean, Vinicius Junior obviously looked good. And I think what this Brazil team is going to fall into is they're going to rely too much on Neymar. Obviously, it's great to see him return, but he's 34. He's plagued by injuries. You can't expect him to be the superstar he's been in the past. And he's just, I mean, you have to face, he's not going to have that big of an impact. So if Brazil is going to go out there and expect him to have a big impact, it's not going to happen. And if they fall into the trap of let's make this about Neymar and let's try and get him to be the superstar he was. It's not going to happen. I think that's going to be a big problem for Brazil.
Yeah, I say that.
Who's Japan's impact player?
I mean, they're obviously. I mean, the attackers look solid for Japan. Obviously, they don't have the big names that Brazil has, but I think overall as a team they've looked really good. They had a hard fought second half against Netherlands to manage the draw against them. And I think they're going to continue to look that good. I think this is a game that's going to go down to the wire, maybe even into extra time, but I think Japan will end up getting the win. Moving on next to Paraguay, Germany. I think Paraguay is another team that looks really good. I think obviously their defense was terrible against the U.S., but I think after that they really settled in. I think they're going to pull off the upset over Germany. I mean, I don't think. Obviously, Germany's offense looks great in those games, especially against Curacao. But I mean, you look their offense wasn't incredible against Ecuador, and it wasn't great until late against Ivory Coast. And I think Paraguay's defense is better than both of those. I think Paraguay is going to hold them to one goal, and I think they'll be able to find a couple for themselves.
I disagree. I think Germany will get it together, and the big names will win.
Yeah,
Germany and Brazil.
Just one step on Germany's ultimate path to at least reaching maybe the quarters or the semis.
Yeah, I'm have to agree. Germany have a great defense. They have quality midfielders, and I think they've been doing good. I think they'll show out against Paraguay, who've not had the strongest defense at times.
I mean, I think it looks much better. Obviously, you look at that USA Paraguay game. That was also a huge outlier. I think Paraguay's defense is much better than what they showed against the U.S.
The performance
and I mean, even if you look back at qualifying games, they held Argentina and Brazil. They played each of them, and they scored a combined 1 goal in those 2 games between Argentina against Brazil. So obviously, this Paraguay defense has, I mean, it's a very good defense, and I think that will continue against a good German attack.
And to put history into this, Germany and Paraguay played each other in the round of 16 at the 2002 World Cup, and Germany defeated Paraguay 1-0. So history sides with Germany. We'll see whether the result comes through tomorrow.
That is true. Netherlands, Morocco. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the round of 32. Morocco has a large population in the Netherlands, so I think this is certainly going to be very interesting. over there on tomorrow during that match day. But I think Netherlands they've just got an incredibly talented team. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, Gakpo, Van Dijk, Gravenberch.
Right.
Obviously, I love those guys, and I think overall Netherlands they have a ton of depth, and I think they'll be able to come out with the win.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to disagree here because Morocco 2022. Remember, they had guys who were
I think
like
that was a
not
1 year
really
wonder. I'm gonna be honest.
the
I think that was
biggest
a 1 year wonder.
names.
I don't think Morocco is nearly as good as that 2022 team was.
They weren't, but they have guys like Saivali, Hakimi, many other guys who in the knockouts, just like in 2022, could show out and perform on the big stage. They've done good against Brazil. They pulled out a good win against Scotland that lied. It was a great defensive effort from them. And if their attackers can stay up and perform at the effort they have, I think they can win this game.
I agree with Kenny. I think Hakimi is going to be a difference, a big difference in this Netherlands Morocco game, and I think Morocco will pull through.
yeah. For me,
I definitely think this is gonna be a game that goes into extra time, but I think Netherlands
penalties.
will come up with that deciding goal.
to me, I like Morocco. I hope that they win, but the stat that just I can't get behind picking anyone else but the Netherlands is that they haven't lost in 90 minutes in the World Cup since 2014.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's been incredible.
The fact that it's been that long, I don't think Morocco's the team to do that, considering the Netherlands have taken some much harder teams to extra time, even in the last World Cup. So
yeah, I agree.
I know it's a different Netherlands team, but honestly, I think it's a better Netherlands team. I would rather have Robbie as my striker over.
I think they can also rotate. They have a ton of depth, especially at the forward positions. I think they can.
Yeah.
They can make good substitutions. I think overall they'll have more depth and they'll be able to outlast that Morocco team. I think, like I said, I think it goes to extra time, and I think by that time, with the depth that Netherlands has, I think they'll just end up being better.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to the next game, we got Norway and Ivory Coast. Obviously, we didn't see Holland play against France, which would have been awesome, but he put up 2 goals in each of his first 2 games. I think he's going to continue that. The Ivory Coast, they've looked good, but I think Norway's just going to they're just better, and I think Holland's going to have another 2 goals against them. I think the Norway's going to win it 3-1.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that part of it is they're playing in Arlington at the Cowboys Stadium, and that is a huge stadium. And Norway has definitely shown up in other American sports over the last few weeks. I would consider Norway maybe to be the second most active fan base in other sports other than Scotland. And I think that Norway, with the fan base behind them, they should be able to get it against.
Obviously, home field advantage is a true thing, and I think what home field advantage means it comes down a lot to do with the fans. And the way the Norway fans have shown out, it seems like every game has felt like a home game for them. And I think that having that advantage, I think that will play a big role in helping them beat a Ivory Coast team that they are better than. Even not factoring in the fans, they're still better than that Ivory Coast team.
Definitely.
Right. So for many people, I think this is going to be a much closer game than people think. It's going to be a lot of people think, oh, Norway's going to blow out Ivory Coast. But looking at Ivory Coast's wins, they've beaten Ecuador with a great defense. They almost beat Germany, however Germany came back. And then they beat Eloy Room and Curacao. And Eloy Room's been one of the best goalies of this World Cup. Unfortunately,
he had one good game. I mean,
I disagree with you, Kenny. I don't see any way in which Norway loses to Ivory Coast.
I agree.
I think that Norway is going to be Ivory Coast because of Erling Haaland. He's been absolutely cooking, and I think that the midfield is going to be a big impact of this game.
Yeah. Moving on, France versus Sweden. I think this one's obvious. I mean, Sweden's a good team, but I don't think they pose any competition to France.
No, I think that before the 5-1 loss to the Netherlands, I think you could give Sweden a shout in this game, but I watched that game. They looked horrendous defensively in that game.
And I mean, France is an even better offense than the Netherlands. I mean, they have the best attack in the entire World Cup between Mbappe, Dembele, Olise, Doué. I mean, it's just they have so many good players on that attack, and I see them putting up 4, maybe even 5 goals against Sweden. I think it's going to be France is the better team, and they're going to show that.
I think also it's not even about the fact that France have such a strong team, such a great team for the World Cup. It's that Sweden couldn't even get wins against quality teams who are playing this round 32. Netherlands 5-1, a 1-1 draw against Sweden, where they looked second best, and barely pulled out a 2-2 draw versus Greece in a friendly, and in another friendly 3-1 versus Norway. That's not going to look good for a round 32 game against one of the best squads in all of soccer.
Yeah. Moving on, next we got Mexico and Ecuador. They've looked solid. I think this will be a very defensive game. Ecuador has one of the best defenses in the tournament. But I do think Mexico is going to be able to find a way to score, and Ecuador's offense just didn't look good. Against Ivory Coast, they didn't score. Against Curacao, they didn't score. I don't see much in this Ecuador offense. I think Mexico is going to win this game 1-0.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jack. I think that Ecuador's offense has been absolutely terrible, and while Ecuador's defense has been pretty good, so I mean, Mexico's defense has also been super strong. To be fair, they have not given up a single goal in the World Cup group stage games they were in, and they've also looked good against Canada in friendlies, so who are a round of 16 teams. So
Yeah.
I have
I
to say
think
that
also, like I said, the home field advantage is true. The Mexico fans have been showing out. This game is in Mexico, and I think that's going to play a huge advantage. I think my opinions might have swayed if this game had been played in the U.S. I think it would be much closer. But even though I think it's going to be 1-0 Mexico, I think they are going to dominate most of this game. I think it's going to be clear that they're the better team, especially at home in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to touch on that point too about home field advantage. You know, for most teams coming into the Estadio Azteca or Mexico City Stadium, it looks like, I mean, most teams would think, oh, it's so high, but that's not a problem for Ecuador. You know, Ecuador is just as high up altitude-wise, even higher. So these guys know how to play up there. The question is, do they know how to respond to the atmosphere? And those games in Mexico that they played, especially the first game against South Africa, the atmosphere was insane. You know, I remember watching that game, and then I don't remember what the game was later in that evening, but it looked empty. Like the other games in America with teams that weren't America looked empty compared to watching the game with Mexico.
Most of the games have been pretty full. I think I've seen like it's 99.7% average stadium.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the game
already.
I'm thinking of is.
I think it was like 58 games in. They had already broken the World Cup attendance record. I mean, especially.
I think I'm thinking of South Korea, Czechia, the second game on that.
Yeah,
especially in the United States, the attendance has hit record numbers. Even just like a little over halfway through the World Cup, it had already broken records. So
yeah, and I mean, this is the Mexico team who's 5 games unbeaten in games before entering the World Cup. So
yeah. Moving on, England and the DR Congo. I love this DR Congo team. I did predict them to get out of the group, which they did, but unfortunately, it's gonna come to an end against England. England's just a much better team.
I'd have to agree with you, Jack. I mean, England, their offense has been stellar. I mean, Croatia, they've proven
except against Ghana. Against Ghana, it looked bad.
Ghana, they looked bad. However, I think how you said about outliers, I think that's going to be the outlier for this England team. They've looked very quality against Croatia, who I think could go pretty far, honestly. And I think that their offense is going to show. Their defense even is going to show against DR Congo.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're much better than DR Congo. They're going to control possession most of the game. They're just going to be better. But I do think, as they always are, I do think this England team is somewhat overrated.
I agree.
I don't think. I mean, I think they'll make a solid run. I see them in the quarterfinals, but maybe in the semifinals. But they're not winning at all.
Yeah, I mean, I love England and I love some of these guys. I think that especially Harry Kane, I have a lot of respect for him. But I'm going to go out there and be different. I think DR Congo take this to extras and maybe even penalties. And if they take it to penalties, knowing Jordan Pickford's penalties in the past, anything can happen. You know, he's been good, but Well, not necessarily.
No matter who the goalie is, no matter who the strikers are, anything can happen in penalties.
I know. I'm just going off of like history.
Yeah.
For England in penalties has not been good for them, especially
I think
Kane missing penalties against France in the 2022 World Cup. Of course, the penalty shootout in the 2020 Euros. I think that if it goes to penalties, I'm taking DR Congo.
Yeah, I think DR Congo, they have to play a similar game to what Ghana did against England. They have to control the possession. They have to just keep the ball away from their own net. I don't see them being able to. I think England has learned their lesson from what did happen against Ghana, and I think their attack will be much stronger. Obviously, Harry Kane had multiple missed opportunities in that Ghana game. I just think I don't think he's going to miss those opportunities again. I think this is his best. If he's going to win a World Cup, which I don't think he will, but if he is going to win a World Cup, it would be this year. And I don't think he's gonna miss those opportunities again.
Yeah. I mean, just one more thing about this is that, like, I'm thinking if Rio Angamoa was in the England squad, I'm taking England all day. But he's not. So,
moving on, USA against Bosnia. I mean, this is the best USA's looked. Obviously, aside from that Turkey game where the starters were off, Pulisic didn't come in until late. I gotta say that offense looked so much different. You could see as soon as Pulisic came on the field, it was miles different. Timothy Weah was slow. He was offside nearly the entire game. He just looked bad. As soon as Pulisic came on, there were about 5 new opportunities created just within the first 10 minutes of him being on the field. I think it's going to be so different having him healthy against Bosnia, and I think that this offense is going to dominate against Bosnia, led by Pulisic.
Yeah, Jack, I'm going to also have to say, with Pulisic here, I think the tempo has definitely jumped up. It's gone way up with USA and their offense as a whole. Like Paraguay
against Turkey, again, they also didn't have Fuller and Balogun playing in that game. So they didn't have their 2 best offensive players playing for the first 75 minutes of that game, and they still managed 2 goals. This team looks so much. This offense looks absolutely amazing. Incredible. And I think when you add Pulisic and Balogun to it, I don't think Bosnia is going to have an answer for it.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that the electrical interference will also come into play for Bosnia. The electrical interference from the substation outside the 49ers stadium. Hoping that Pulisic doesn't get injured, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, if Pulisic is healthy, this USA team is very solid. Moving on to their opponents in the next round, Senegal against Belgium. Obviously, aside from that New Zealand game, this Belgian offense yet again is just so underwhelming. I think that's going to continue in this game against Senegal. Both of them put up 5 goals in their last game. I think Senegal is going to find a way to win this game 2-1. I think just yet again, Belgium is going to underperform on offense.
I think also, Belgium have been really fraudulent in this World Cup, in my opinion. And look, Senegal have lost a lot of games. They've won 1 and 2, but their losses have been against quality teams, and they've been 1-3 versus France and 2-3 versus Norway, which are very close games considering with how good they've played in their other matches.
And that game against France, I mean, that was like a 2-1 game, and then obviously Mbappe had an incredible shot at the end to seal it. But I mean, they competed very well against France. They had it. I mean, up until stoppage time, it was very close. And they had that goal as well. And then against Norway, they only lost by 1. And I mean, Belgium just doesn't have that incredible striker that France with Mbappe and Norway with Haaland have. They don't have that, and their offense is going to underperform. Senegal has shown the ability to score, and I think they're going to continue that. Obviously, they had 5 goals in that last game against Iraq. And I think their offense is shot. Like I said, I think it's going to be 2-1. Senegal takes down Belgium.
No, I agree. I think that with Belgium, it's a problem that not all countries have. They have the service, they don't have the guy to finish it. I like De Ketelaere. I think he's a good striker. I've enjoyed watching him throughout his career, this World Cup. I don't think that he is the man to be the striker that takes Belgium far in this tournament.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, we got Spain and Austria. Another one I think is going to be a blowout. Obviously, I mean, Spain has learned their lesson against playing more relaxed against inferior teams. Obviously, that Cape Verde game. I think they're going to learn for that. Obviously, they'll have Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams starting for this game, and I think their offense is going to show out against Austria. And I think this should be pure domination for the Spanish side.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
And then moving on to the next one, Portugal against Croatia. I think this is going to be a great game. Obviously, Ronaldo has underperformed heavily. I mean, he's 41. It's the retirement is soon, and he hasn't looked the same. And it seemed like they've tried to force the ball to him almost, and just it hasn't worked out. Ronaldo is just not the same. I said it before the World Cup that I did think Ronaldo was going to have a superstar performance, and he hasn't had that. With that being said, though, overall this Portugal side is very solid. Diego Costa is a great goalie, and they have guys like João Neves, Bruno Fernandes, Rafael Leao. They have a ton of great guys, and I think that attack is going to be there even if Ronaldo continues to underperform. I think it's going to be a Portugal 3-2 win. I think their offense will be able to find it. I think Ronaldo will score as well.
I'd have to disagree, Jack. I mean, Portugal against teams that have been in the knockout stage, the only good win that I've seen was Uzbekistan. And then Congo, they didn't look great. They will look second best. Colombia, they also looked second best. Croatia they
would have lost to Colombia if not for that offside, which was as much as I hate to say it, it was the correct call of offside. That is the rule. He was offside. I would say some PTSD for Isaiah likely there, but it was offside. But Portugal did get lucky; they're barely escaping with a draw against Colombia.
I'm also going to say that Croatia, as I was continuing my point, Croatia have one loss in this World Cup. It also looked quality. I mean, the offense still looked pretty strong.
That first half against England, they were very good.
Yeah, they held the fort, and then Ghana, they looked very good, especially their offense. If they keep up their offense and continue to look white hot on their side, their defense, performs pretty well, which they have for some of the games, I think they can pull this out.
I mean, their goalkeeper's also been great. I mean, if it weren't for some of the incredible saves he made,
I love Livakovic.
I mean, if it weren't for some of the incredible saves he made, they would have lost that game against England like 6-2.
I think it's gonna be an added time win. I think Croatia pulls out the clutch gene. I think they win it.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Egypt and Australia. Neither of these teams, I think, make it very far. But I am going to take Egypt in this one. They've looked solid. Mohamed Salah has looked great. I think he'll continue. I think he'll score a goal in this one in what will be a low-scoring game. But I will take Egypt to win it.
I will disagree with you, Jack. I think Australia are going to take it. I love Mo Salah. I love the Egypt team. But to be honest with you, Australia last time out, and I know it's a different Australia team, but they gave up a fight against the World Cup winners in Argentina. And that's something that I thought was very impressive at the time. And looking back on it.
This Australia, not Austria.
I said Australia.
Yeah. Argentina played against Austria.
No, last World Cup.
Last World Cup.
Yeah. No, Australia. They put up a good fight, and I think there's going to be some PTSD from that and some thoughts of we want to do better, and this is a team that they can do better against. They didn't get the Cabo Verde draw of Argentina this time. So to me, I would love to see Australia win because I think Australian fans are really, really good and they bring a lot to the sport as a whole. But I really hope that Australia wins, and I will pick them for that reason.
Yeah, I'm going to say also Australia. In some of the games where they've played teams that have looked quality, round of 32, knockout stages, Mo Salah, who's been very much mentioned, the be-all, end-all for Egypt, I think he's underperformed a little bit. And I think that will continue. I think that will stay a little bit there. And I think that Australia, as the World Cup, I think they'll hold possession. They'll dominate the game. And I think that's going to be too much for Egypt. And I think that Australia win.
I think one more thing to add on, Mo Salah listed as doubtful for this game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then moving on, Argentina against Cabo Verde. Obviously, it's been a great story for Cabo Verde. Vozini, he stopped Lamine Yamal, but I mean, Messi's he's just different. He's 38 years old. I think he's turning 39 soon. I don't know if it's going to be before this game or not. But he's scored 6 goals in 3 games so far, and he's just going to continue that. I think he puts up another hat trick in this one. I think Messi is just going to absolutely take over this game, and I think Argentina is going to blow out Cabo Verde.
I agree with you, Jack. I think the Cabo Verde, while they have been good, I think it's going to be way too much for them. And I think that the feeling is going to be different for them when it's a group stage game versus a round of 32. Oh, first World Cup. I think they won't. I think that'll be like the Super Bowl hangover-esque feeling for Cabo Verde with their first ever knockout stages. I think that'll play in.
We love the Cinderella story and everything, but they were also by points they were the worst second place team, and in fact a lot of third place teams would have finished over them. So obviously it's a great story, but it's gonna come. The Cinderella story is gonna come to an end. But this is I will say this is why I like the 48 team format, because you can get more chances at Cinderella stories like these. Yeah, I do think that Argentina will handle Cabo Verde pretty easily.
Yeah. To me, as much as I would love to say Cabo Verde is going to pull up the upset, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to do pretty well. I think they'll maybe score, and this is just a prediction, but I think they're going to keep Argentina at bay until maybe the 60th minute. I can see this team giving it all out because they have nothing to lose. They didn't expect to get any points from this tournament, I don't think. I think going in they were hoping, but I don't think they expected.
They were hoping maybe they can
maybe a draw.
Maybe after they got destroyed by Spain and Uruguay, maybe they'd be able to manage a draw against Saudi Arabia.
But after drawing to Spain and drawing to Uruguay, I think that there's going to be a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to think maybe we can hold Argentina for a little bit and put up an impressive performance.
And moving on to the final game of this round of 32, Colombia and Ghana. I don't like either of these teams very much. Obviously, they both held impressive draws. Ghana against England and Colombia against Portugal. Ultimately, I think Colombia ends up winning this game, but I don't think either of these teams even comes close against Argentina in the round of 16.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
All right. And that will do it for our round of 32 World Cup predictions. We'll see you guys in the next video. We will be back to predict the round of 16 after all of my round of 32 predictions are correct, of course. We'll see you guys next time.